Senator Spearman.
Here.
Chair Canizaro.
Here.
Assemblywoman Carlton. Assemblywoman Krause.
Here.
Senator Hammond. Chair Canizaro.
Here.
11 members present.
Great, thanks. And please mark those present as they join us. I know we were getting a few members connected here virtually. I wanted to go ahead and get started today. So a couple of just housekeeping matters for everyone who is joining us and for all the members. If anyone who is testifying today, if you could please make sure to state and spell your name for the record before you testify so that we have an accurate record of that. And of course, all the members of the commission did receive a copy of the agenda in your meeting packet, as well as the items that we will be discussing on today's during today's meeting. If anyone would like to receive a copy of the commission's agendas, minutes, or reports, you can be added to the mailing list by following the links on our website for the Nevada Legislature, or by providing your information to our staff, the Legislative Commission, and contact information for staff is also listed on the website. With those couple of things, we are going to move to item number 2 on our agenda, which is public comment. The next item we'll take is that. So for those of you who have called in and you would like to speak during this part of the meeting, you will be notified by our Legislative Council Bureau Broadcast Production Services when you have been connected and it is your turn to speak. Please remember that comments at this point in time will be limited to 2 minutes. We will also have a point in time at the end of the meeting to do public comment for anyone who wishes to give public comment and would rather do that after the end of the meeting. But we'll be making sure that we're keeping those to 2 minutes at this time. You're of course welcome to submit any additional comments in writing and they will be added to the record for this meeting. And if you again prefer to speak till later, just hang on until the end of the meeting because we'll have that second period for public comment. And at this point, I am going to turn over the public comment portion to our BPS staff to queue up those who have been calling in to speak. And if you listen carefully, they will inform you when it is your turn to speak.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 544. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Donald C. Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Actually, I'm appearing on item 3A on behalf of the Division of Industrial Relations. So I just wanted to make sure that I could get on here now. If 3A is the appropriate time for me to be on, then I'll do it then. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will be moving to 3A, so just hang on with us until we get to that point.
Caller with
Thank
the
you, Madam
last,
Chair.
pardon me. Caller with the last 3 digits of 528. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller with the last 3 digits of 528. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Moving on. Caller with the last 3 digits, 116. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Thank you. My name is Alexis Motorex, representing the Nevada Chapter Associated General Contractors and the Nevada Mechanical Contractors. It's ALEXIS MOTAREX. and we are in full support of the changes being proposed to NAC 455C under item 3A. These changes have been vetted by industry, and we look forward to seeing them enacted. And on behalf of the Nevada AGC and the Nevada Mechanical Contractors, I would like to thank the Department of Business and Industry, and especially the staff with the Mechanical Compliance Division of DIR, for working with us to address our concerns. Thank you.
Madam Chair, there are no more callers at this time.
Thank you. Then we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is our Legislative Commission Policy Review. We will begin with our Legislative Counsel, Brian Fernley, who is going to help us get through all of those regulations for today's meeting. There is one regulation that the agency submitted for early review and one other that was adopted since our last meeting and is being considered today because it needs to be expedited. We'll move first to items before we get started on those items. Well, you know what? Actually, we'll just go ahead and get right into it. We'll move on to item number 3A on our agenda. Since we just have a couple of early review items, we'll go ahead and hear about those. The regulation under 3A is submitted for pre-approval pursuant to NRS 233B.0681, and it is R045-20. I would note that all members of the commission do have a copy of all of these items as well. And you may also recall that NRS 233B.0681 provides that an agency may request the early review of a proposed permanent regulation after the agency has given notice of a hearing on the regulation, but before the hearing is held. If the Legislative Commission approves the regulation pursuant to the request and the regulation adopted after the hearing is identical to the regulation submitted for early review, the Legislative Council is required to file the regulation with the Secretary of State, and the regulation becomes effective upon filing with the Secretary of State. I know that we did have, and hopefully we still have with us, Donald Smith, representing the Division of Industrial Relations, and he is available for any questions or comments that members of the Commission may have. And so I will open it up to members of the Legislative Commission, and if anyone has a question or a comment, we will go ahead and move to that at this point. And hopefully Mr. Smith is still with us and can be available to answer those. Members of the Commission, does anyone have comments or questions on R 045-20? I don't see anyone unmuting or raising their hands or jumping up and down. All right. At this point in time, since we have had an opportunity to review this particular regulation, I would, if anyone is so inclined, accept a motion to pre-approve R 045-20 pursuant to NRS 233B.0681. Do I have such a motion?
Move to approve.
I have a motion from Assemblyman Daly. Is there a second on the motion? I see a second from Senator Dennis. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing and hearing none, I will turn it over to the Secretary to please take a roll call vote on the motion to pre-approve R 045-20.
Assemblywoman Carlton,
Yes, and I apologize for my tardiness, Madam Chair. Yes.
Assemblyman Daly,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Hattigi,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Krasner,
Yes.
Assemblyman Roberts,
Yes.
Assemblyman Yeager,
Yes.
Senator Dennis,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Hardy,
Yes.
Senator Settlemyre,
Yes.
Senator Spearman,
Yes.
Chair Canizaro.
Yes.
It is unanimous.
Great, thank you so much. And Assemblywoman Carlton, we saw you had been connected, and I think we just got started as you had stepped away. So I did see you, but appreciate you being with us today. That motion has been approved. So we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is under item number 3B. We have one regulation to consider this time under our regular approval process for regulations that have been all the way through the process for the adoption of permanent regulations set forth in Chapter 233B of the Nevada Revised Statutes. Again, all members of the commission, and they should be available online as well, are copies of these regulations. So for our 142-20, I do believe that we have Brett Kant or Shirley Hunting, who are representing the State Board of Pharmacy, available to answer any questions that we may have. So at this point in time, I will turn it over to the members of the commission to see if anyone has questions or comments on R 142-20. And it doesn't appear that we have anyone who's got questions or comments at this point in time. So with that, I would accept a motion to approve our 142-20 if it is so desired by the commission. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I see a motion to approve by Assemblyman Daley, a second from Senator Dennis, who jumped in there. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will turn it back over to the secretary to take a roll call vote on the motion to approve our 142-20.
Assemblywoman Carlton,
Yes.
Assemblyman Daley,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Riggi,
Here, I'm sorry, yes.
Assemblywoman Krasner,
Yes.
Assemblyman Roberts,
Yes.
Assemblyman Yeager,
Yes.
Senator Dennis,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Hardy,
Yes.
Senator Settlemyre,
Yes.
Senator Spearman,
Yes.
Chair Canizara,
Yes.
and it is unanimous.
Great, thank you. Motion has been approved, and that concludes our items on our agenda under items number 3 for our Legislative Commission policy. We will now move to item number, it does not conclude our items under number 3. It concludes number 3B. We'll move to item 3C. I'm getting ahead of myself a bit. We'll move to item 3C, the approval of requests for extension of deadlines for certain interim and statutory committees. And I will turn it over to Ms. Erdos to address the request of the Legislative Committee on Child Welfare and Juvenile Justice to extend the deadline for completing its business. Ms. Erdos, whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the meeting materials online, there is a memorandum from Senator Orenshaw in his capacity as chair of the Legislative Committee on Child Welfare and Juvenile Justice. And he's requesting an extension of the deadline for concluding business of the committee and for requesting BDRs for the 2021 session. As you may recall, we had extended the deadline to the end of September previously with all the other committees. But his memo points out that the committee was assigned 3 interim studies in addition to its regular oversight duties for this interim. And though the committee has tried, it has not been possible to complete all of the work given the delays caused by the pandemic and also with special sessions. So this request today is for the Legislative Commission to grant both an extension of the deadline for holding the last meeting of the committee to the latter half of October, so from the end of September to the latter half of October, and then an extension of the deadline for requesting BDRs for the 2021 session to no later than October 31st, 2020. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding this request.
You. I would add that I was contacted by the vice chair of that particular committee, who also had mentioned that they ended up needing to cancel, I think it was 5 of the meetings that they had originally had scheduled due to the scheduling that we've seen happen our amazing staff that's been able to put up all of these virtual meetings to allow for us to continue to meet, but with all of the special sessions and other meetings that have had to be scheduled in our limited capacity to do multiple meetings at the same time, I know that they ultimately had to cancel 5 of those meetings. So I just wanted to add that for the committee's consideration. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Ms. Erdos or on this item? Not seeing any. So at this point in time, I would accept a motion to approve the request to extend the deadlines for the Legislative Committee on Child Welfare and Juvenile Justice, allow them to hold its final meeting in the latter half of October, and then submit any VDRs to the Legislative Council no later than October 31st of 2020.
So moved.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Hadagi, and I see a second from Assemblyman Daly. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will turn it over to the Secretary to take a roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Carlton? Assemblywoman Carlton? Assemblyman Daly?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Hadagi?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Krasner?
Yes.
Assemblyman Roberts?
Yes.
Assemblywoman Yeager?
Yes.
Senator Dennis?
Yes.
Senator Hammond?
Yes.
Senator Hardy?
Yes.
Senator Settlemeyer?
Yes.
Senator Spearman?
Yes.
Chair Canizaro? Chair Canizaro?
Yes.
And Assemblywoman Carlton? We have 11 members voting yes.
The motion carries to extend that deadline. Thank you, Madam Secretary. We are going to move to the next item on our agenda, which is item number 3D, the approval of appointments. This is a request from the Director of the Legislative Council Bureau for approval of the appointments of Senate and Assembly fiscal analysts to replace Mark Kompotic and Cindy Jones, who are both retiring this fall and will be very much missed, but very grateful for all of their service. I am going to turn this item over to Ms. Erdos to talk to us a bit about these appointments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you're likely aware, subsection 3 of NRS 218F 100 requires the Director of the Legislative Council Bureau to appoint an Assembly fiscal analyst and a Senate fiscal analyst with approval of the Legislative Commission. I'm bringing this item to you today, as the chairman said, because we've been given notice that both of the fiscal analysts are retiring sometime this fall, and we're hoping to be able to have some overlap between the newly designated fiscal analysts and the retiring folks to enhance the knowledge transfer there. So that's why we're trying to get ahead of this. The meeting materials online for this meeting include the resumes of Sarah Kaufman and Wayne Thorley. These two individuals were selected by a 5-member panel unanimously. I believe that both have the potential to lead the Fiscal Analysis Division into the future in a manner that will ensure that the Fiscal Analysis Division continues to be an amazingly dynamic group of extremely knowledgeable folks who are very dedicated and are a trusted source of information for the legislature. And that's really important to me. And I hope that it is to you too. I would ask the Legislative Commission's approval of these two appointments today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, I didn't take myself off mute there. We will turn it over to the commission and see if anyone has any questions or comments on item number 3D.
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot my video part. Thank you. Sorry about that. So I've sort of been sucked into the Fiscal Analysis Division over the last decade. So I do have just a few questions if I can. So I know that our current analysts have worked very, very hard to create a culture of teamwork within the Fiscal Analysis Division. And I remember back in the day where it was really siloed, where we had Senate staff doing one thing and Assembly staff doing another. And I know the folks we have now and all the team members that have been there since I've been privileged to serve with them have worked very, very hard to make sure that everyone works together. And I just want to make sure that that philosophy continues. I think it's been very beneficial to the process, to both committees and to all the members of the legislature, because these folks do answer questions for everyone. And the fiscal side of our work can sometimes be very confusing and complicated, as I believe we all witnessed in our first special session this summer, of how everything is intertwined and the work that needs to be done. I know that there has been a lot of succession planning going forward, and I am absolutely thrilled that Ms. Kaufman has been chosen to move forward. I've worked with her for years, and I'm very, very comfortable with her. I do have a question with Mr. Thorley coming in from the outside and not having the benefit of the changes that have happened over the last 4 to 6 years in how we do our business at the legislature. When will he be coming in? What will the overlap look like? We're already into budget meetings and conferences. I know when I first started, it was like drinking from a fire hose, and I just want to make sure that we have a good plan in place, because we are bringing someone in that has not been part of that succession planning, to make sure that, you know, when this all happens, that there's the appropriate amount of time. So do we have an idea of when Mr. Thorley will be transitioning from his current position to his next position?
I'm happy to take that question. Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I believe that Mr. Thorley has indicated that he will need to give 2 weeks notice, and then I believe that he will be on board. And I also believe that Mr. Krompatik is planning to help with this transition and stay on through most of November, if not longer, if we can persuade him. So I think there will be a good transition period there. And in the interview process, we talked a lot about the culture of the fiscal division, and I was pleased that Mr. Thorley had worked in the division for, I think, a little over 5 years before, so he does have a good idea of what's going on there. But we'll certainly need to obviously spend a lot of time with the current fiscal analyst to get to where he needs to be. And I think he is dedicated and has made a commitment to work to do that and to continue working with the fiscal analysis division in the manner as you described.
Okay, and thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to ask the questions. I do have some concerns bringing someone in at this particular time, but knowing full well that the committee that did the process, did the interviewing, will work forward with all of this. So with that, my other question is, will these be taken as one motion?
The intent is for them to be taken as one motion.
Okay. And I do plan on supporting both, but I do have a few concerns, but I'd be more than happy to work with all the particulars in this to make sure that my goal is to leave this legislature a little bit better than I found it, and to make sure that all of our fiscal folks who are the backbone of what the state needs to get done have everything that they need and are where they need to be to move forward. We can have all the great bills in the world that we want, but if we don't have a state budget, we're not getting anywhere. So with that, I just wanted to make sure my concerns were on the record, and I'd be happy to support the motion when it's made. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. I always appreciate your perspective and point of view, especially when it comes to fiscal matters. So thank you for your questions and comments. I appreciate it. I know Senator Settlemeyer did have a comment. So Senator Settlemeyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate both the individuals that the department has found in order to help try to fill the hole. I believe Ms. Flory will do an excellent job within the Senate. I appreciate, though, that the time will be given to allow Mr. Thorley to transition, not only for the sake of the Finance Division, but also for the sake of the Secretary of State, because obviously she does have a minor, election coming up, and we are taking one of her main people. So I appreciate that time being given, and I have no fear of the transition since it has been given a fairly lengthy period of time for that. In that respect, though, I do have to say at this point in time, I'm extremely sad. The institutional knowledge that we're about to lose before we walk into next session cannot even be stated. Talk about gigantic shoes to fill and the brain drain that is about to occur. I don't care who steps into these positions. They cannot take place of individuals who have sadly had to undergo basically the trials of almost a war in the last couple special sessions in order to try to clobber together the state's financial house. And with that, I'm very sorry to see you leave, to Mr. Kropotkin and Ms. Jones. However, I understand why you're leaving, and it's understandable. That being said, thank you for everything you've done for the state of Nevada to those two. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo the comments of my colleague. This is going to be a tremendous loss, but I'm confident, based upon the comments of Ms. Erdos, that although it will be an enormous task, eventually we will be able to get back to where we were. And this is just another, Mr. Kropotkin and Cindy, another example of how dedicated our public servants are. And one of the reasons we fight so fiercely to make sure they are protected, to make sure that their retirement is protected, and to make sure that people understand how much they give to the whole institution. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Sorry to see them go, but I really understand it. Enjoy life after this.
Other questions or comments from members of the commission? Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank both the Assembly and the Senate for their fiscal staffs, plural, and their being able to work so well together. Cindy, working with the Assembly, it's not just one person, obviously, and Mark being able to do so much helping with the Senate. They've been great, helped me personally and us as a group. So thank you, Mark, and thank you, Cindy, for what you've done and what you've been able to put up with, and I wish you well in greener pastures. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Senator Dennis, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I remember seems like it wasn't that long ago when Mark and Cindy both started, and they were the new ones trying to learn all this and all of that they have gone through all the last few years. So I appreciate the work that they've done, and having worked with both of the candidates coming in the past, I think we've got some good folks coming in that can pick up on it quickly, and I feel comfortable. I have the same concern anytime you switch, regardless of the situation that we're in when it comes to the finance of the state. But I think that the committee has done a great job in bringing forth some good candidates. So I support the motion, and once again, appreciative to Mark and Cindy for all the work that they've done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. I too just wanted to take a moment to thank both Mark and Cindy for their amazingly diligent and professional work in the legislature. It has been a true pleasure to be able to work with both of you. And I definitely know that you will be missed. I think, I can't remember who said it, but they're extremely large shoes to fill. And of course, we wish you the best, and just thank you so much for all of your hard work and for all of your dedication and making sure that we can get our questions answered and hopefully leave the state a little better than we found it in this position. So thank you very much. And thank you to Ms. Erdos for walking us through the appointments and for your and your committee's work to bring forward these recommendations. I look forward to working with the next fiscal analyst. So do I have a motion to approve the appointments of Sarah Kaufman to be the next Assembly fiscal analyst and Wayne Thorley to be the next Senate fiscal analyst?
Motion right here.
I have a motion from Senator Hammond. Is there a second? A second from Senator Dennis. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will turn it over to the Secretary to take a roll call vote for approval of the motion.
Assemblywoman Carlton,
Yes.
Assemblyman Daly,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Hauge,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Krasner,
Yes.
Assemblyman Robert,
Yes.
Assemblyman Yeager,
Yes.
Senator Dennis,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Hardy,
Yes.
Senator Sellmeyer, Senator Sellmeyer,
Yes.
thank you. Senator Spearman,
Yes.
Chair Canizaro,
Yes.
it is unanimous.
Great, thank you. The motion carries and the appointments of Wayne Thorley and Sarah Kaufman are approved to fill the fiscal analyst positions. Congratulations to them both. We look forward to working with both of you. Okay, we will move then next to item 4 on our agenda, which is the litigation. I will ask our general counsel, Kevin Powers, to proceed with presenting 2 resolutions regarding litigation for consideration by the Legislative Commission today. Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Kevin Powers, General Counsel, LCB Legal Division. We are going to take each of these agenda items separately. So we'll start with agenda item number 4A. That involves the case of Nevada Policy Research Institute versus Canizaro. That's in the 8th Judicial District Court in Clark County. What you'll have in your meeting packet is 2 things: the resolution that's being presented to the Legislative Commission today. In addition, there's an opinion letter from the LCB Legal Division that's related to the legal issue in the underlying litigation. In this litigation, the issue is whether or not state legislators are prohibited by the separation of powers provision in the Nevada Constitution from holding positions of public employment with the state executive branch or with local governments. As the resolution lays out, this is an issue that the LCB Legal Division has been asked to provide written legal opinions on since at least 2002. And over the last 18 years, we have addressed this issue repeatedly, and we've always come to the same conclusion that the separation of powers provision does not prohibit legislators from serving in positions of public employment in the state executive branch or with local governments. In 2004, there was a Nevada Supreme Court case where this issue was argued. However, the Nevada Supreme Court did not address the merits of the issue, but resolved the case on different legal grounds. That was Heller versus Legislature, 120 Nevada 456 from 2004. So this has been an outstanding issue, obviously, for several decades. Recently, the Nevada Policy Research Institute instituted this underlying action in the 8th Judicial District Court in Clark County. They named as the defendant several members of the Nevada Legislature in their capacity as public employees with the state executive branch or with local governments. That complaint was filed on July 9th, 2020. They filed then an amended complaint on July 28th, 2020. On August 29th, 2020 was the first time that they actually served the summons and a copy of the amended complaint on one of the legislative defendants. In the amended complaint, the MPRI alleges several claims for declaratory and injunctive relief. And they allege that all of the defendants named, the members of the legislature who are serving in those positions of public employment, are simultaneously holding elected offices in the legislature and paid positions with the state executive branch or with local governments in violation of the separation of powers provision. So those allegations are directly implicating a legal opinion that the LCB Legal Division has been providing to the legislature for, as I mentioned, for at least 2 decades now. Pursuant to NRS 218F.720, when deemed necessary or advisable to protect the official interests of the legislature in any action or proceeding in court, the Legislative Commission may direct the General Counsel and the Legal Division to appear in, commence, prosecute, defend, or intervene in any action or proceeding. Because this action or proceeding does involve the legislative's interests, in particular, as I mentioned, it deals with specific issues with regard to who may or may not be members of the legislature, depending on what types of positions they hold in their capacity as employees. In addition, the legislature has enacted statutes that reflect the public policy of this state to support a citizen legislature. In particular, NRS 281A.020 provides it's the public policy of this state that state legislators serve in a citizen legislature, and they are citizen legislators who have other occupations and business interests, who are expected to have particular philosophies and perspectives that are necessarily influenced by the life experiences of those legislators, and that they're expected to contribute those philosophies and perspectives to the debate over issues with which the legislature is confronted. So the legislature has established a policy over time that all the members in a citizen legislature should reflect all the different walks of life and professions, including public employment. So the legislature has an official interest in this litigation. Therefore, pursuant to NRS 218F.720, the resolution will direct the General Counsel and the Legal Division to take all actions that are necessary for the legislature to appear in, commence, prosecute, defend, or intervene in the MPRI action and in any other related or association actions, included any appeals, any petitions for extraordinary relief, or any other appellate review or other relief. That is an overview of the case and the resolution that's before the Legislative Commission. I am certainly open for any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Great, thank you. At this point in time, we will see if any members of the commission have any questions or comments on item number 4A. And I'm not seeing anyone raise their hand. Sorry, Assemblyman Roberts, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question is, so most of these legislators that are named actually have, obviously government jobs. So the legal that we provide here will be in conjunction with the other party. Curious. So, like for instance, whatever local government the employee or the legislator may work for.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Kevin Powers, General Counsel, LCB Legal Division. The legislators who are named as individual defendants, they need to obtain and have been obtaining their own counsel to represent them in the matter. In this case, the legislature as an institution will be intervening in the action, and the LCB Legal Division will be representing the legislature as an institution. So the legislature, if allowed to intervene by the court, will become a defendant, and the individual members who are named in the complaint will also be defendants. So we'll all be defending against the separation of powers issue, but the legislators will have separate counsel and the legislature will have separate counsel, which will be the LCB Legal Division. So the LCB Legal Division will not be representing any of the individual legislative defendants in this action. However, obviously we have common interest in that our legal arguments will be similar, so that in that sense, all of the defendants will be defending against the constitutionality of having legislators serving as also public employees. But again, The LCB Legal Division will only be representing the legislature as an institution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for the answer, Madam Chair.
Anyone else questions or comments on item number 4A? And I am not seeing any other questions or comments at this point in time. Before we take a vote on this item, I would like to disclose that pursuant to Senate Standing Rule number 23, I do believe that I have a conflict regarding this item, as pretty clearly indicated by the title of the case. And so out of an abundance of caution, I will be abstaining from the vote on this item, but at this time would accept a motion under item 4A to approve the mentioned resolution directing the general counsel and the legal division to take the actions as described by Mr. Powers if one is exists by the committee.
So moved.
Second.
Everybody at once. I believe I saw I heard a motion from Assemblywoman Carlton. I saw a second from Senator Spearman. Any further discussion on the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe this is just a very important issue that needs to get resolved. It's sort of been hanging as a cloud over the legislature for a long time that I remember the discussions about it, and I'm looking forward to this issue coming to some rest. I believe if I choose to run for office, my profession, coming from the service industry or any other industry, should not prohibit me from participating in our democracy.
Additional comments on the motion? Assemblywoman Krasner, please.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to let the commission know that I previously worked for Truckee Meadows Community College, but resigned several months ago for personal reasons. I just wanted to let everyone know that. Thank you.
Any additional comments on the motion? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, I will turn it over to the secretary to take a roll call vote on the motion.
Assemblywoman Carlton.
Yes.
Assemblyman Daley.
Yes.
Assemblywoman Howdy.
Yes.
Assemblywoman Krasner.
Yes.
Assemblyman Roberts.
Yes.
Assemblyman Yeager.
Yes.
Senator Dennis.
Yes.
Senator Hammond.
Yes.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Settlemeyer.
Yes.
Senator Spearman.
Yes.
Chair Canizaro.
I will be abstaining.
You have 11 in favor and
1 abstention. Great. The motion carries. We will now move on to the next item on our agenda, which is item number 4B. And I will again turn it over to Mr. Powers to walk us through this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, for the record, Kevin Powers, General Counsel, LCB Legal Division. The second case before the commission today is Lander County versus State of Nevada, and that's in the First Judicial District Court in Carson City. This case involves the 3 joint resolutions proposing constitutional amendments that were passed by the legislature during the 32nd special session. Those resolutions were SJR 1, AGR 1, and AGR 2. Each of those resolutions propose revising provisions of the Nevada Constitution relating to the taxation of mines, mining claims, and extracted minerals. During the legislative session, the 32nd special session, the legal division of the Legislative Counsel Bureau received a request for a legal opinion and provided that opinion to members of the legislature, in which the legal division concluded that under the 2012 constitutional amendment that revised the state constitutional provisions governing special sessions, it is the opinion of the legal division that at a special session convened by the governor under Article 5, Section 9 of the Nevada Constitution, the legislature has the power to introduce, consider, and pass any joint resolutions proposing state constitutional amendments under Article 16, Section 1 of the Nevada Constitution, regardless of whether those joint resolutions are related to the business for which the legislature has been convened by the governor under Article 5, Section 9 of the Nevada Constitution. The opinion letter of the Legislative Counsel Bureau of the LCB Legal Division is included in the materials with item 4B. In addition, the LCB Legal Division's opinion letter was also included in the record during the special session, both in the journals of each house and in the records of the committee of the whole of each house. And just to give you a summary quickly of that opinion, because of that 2012 constitutional amendment, the former provisions governing special sessions said essentially that the legislature shall transact no legislative business during the special session except for that which was prescribed by the governor convening the special session. However, those provisions were changed in 2012 to provide that the legislature should not introduce, consider, or pass any bills during a special session that weren't in the subject that was set forth by the governor for the special session. Using the term bills only and excluding the term resolutions created the situation where the limitation on the legislature was only being applied to bills. The general rule is that at a special session, a legislature has all the powers it would otherwise have at a regular session unless there are specific constitutional limitations. Because the specific constitutional limitations under the 2012 constitutional amendment applies only to bills, that means the legislature at a special session would have all its normal powers at a regular session dealing with resolutions. One of those normal powers, obviously, is to pass joint resolutions proposing constitutional amendments. Therefore, it was the opinion of the LCB Legal Division that the legislature could consider SGR 1, AGR 1, AGR 2 at the 32nd special session, and that the fact that those resolutions were not included in the governor's proclamation did not prevent the legislature from considering and passing those resolutions. In response to the passage of those resolutions, then Lander County filed a complaint claiming that the legislature exceeded its constitutional authority to pass those three resolutions, specifically claiming that the resolutions were outside the scope of the governor's proclamation and that the resolutions were passed on an expedited basis in the special session without allowing real and meaningful input from affected parties or the public at large, given the restrictions placed on the special session due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So with those allegations in mind, this is a direct challenge to the legislature's power to pass pass joint resolutions proposing constitutional amendments during special sessions. And therefore, obviously, this litigation implicates the official interests of the legislature. So again, under pursuant to NRS 218F 720, this is an issue for which the Legislative Commission can direct the General Counsel and the Legal Division to intervene in the action or proceeding. So therefore, the resolution proposes directing the General Counsel and the Legal Division to take any and all actions on behalf of the legislature that are necessary for the legislature to appear in, commence, prosecute, defend, and intervene in the Lander County action and in any related, associated, or similar actions, including any appeals, any petitions for extraordinary writs, and any other appellate review or relief of any kind. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's an overview of the Lander County case. I'm certainly open to any questions.
Thank you. Any members of the commission have a question or comment on item number 4B? Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that. I tend to agree with Lander County. I know you're shocked by that. I understand that it may actually not be a question of violating the word of law, the actual letter of the law, but I do believe this violates the intent, having a free-for-all during special sessions on subjects. So in that respect, I will be voting no today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Additional questions or comments? Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a simple question. In a special session where the governor sets the agenda, the legislators are in one place at one time, and could not they call themselves into a special session irrespective of the governor's agenda and then do whatever they want?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Kevin Powers, General Counsel, LCB Legal Division. In answer to the Senator's question, during a special session convened by the governor, the legislature, by petition signed by 2/3 of the members of each house of the legislature, could convene itself into a special session while the other special session convened by the governor is pending. And under Article 4, Section 2A, the legislature, when convening a special session by its members, can call its special session so that it takes precedence over the governor's special session. That is an option during a special session called by the governor or the legislature through 2/3 of its members to call a special session on its own behalf at that time as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So thus they could actually work on bills.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Kevin Powers, Legislative Counsel Bureau, LCB Legal Division, General Counsel. That is correct, that during a special session called by the legislature with the respective number of members from each house, they could assign bills within subject areas that the legislature would want to consider, and that subject area would have to be specified in the petition signed by 2/3 of the members of each house. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Additional questions or comments from members of the commission? Okay, I am not seeing any additional comments or questions. Thank you, Mr. Powers, for being able to answer all of our questions. At this point in time, I would accept a motion to approve the aforementioned resolution directing the General Counsel and Legal Division to take the described actions in the Lander County versus State of Nevada case. Is there a motion by the committee?
So moved.
We have a motion from Assemblywoman Carlton and a second from Senator Dennis. Comments on the motion or discussion on the motion? Yes, Assemblyman Yeager, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, obviously, the members of this commission, I think, have a difference of opinion on the LCB's legal opinion, but I think it's very important that litigation has now been enacted, that LCB have a chance to be able to defend its opinion and the institution. And under our system of separations of powers, the court's going to tell us whether they got it right or they didn't get it right. So for that reason, I'll be supporting this motion because I think it's important to give LCB the chance to go in and defend itself and make the case for why this was constitutional to do this in a special session. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will turn it over to the secretary to take a roll call vote.
Assemblywoman Carlson,
Yes.
Assemblyman Daley,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Howdy,
Yes.
Assemblywoman Krasner,
No.
Assemblyman Roberts,
Yes.
Assemblyman Yeager,
Yes.
Senator Dennis,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
No.
Senator Hardy,
No.
Senator Settlemeyer,
No.
Senator Spearman,
Yes.
Chair Canizaro.
Yes.
You have 8 in favor and 4 against.
Thank you. The motion carries. We will now move to the next item on our agenda under item number 5, which is our second public comment portion of the meeting. If there's anyone who wishes to provide public comment, please call the number that is indicated on the agenda, and you'll be notified by staff of the LCB Broadcast Service Production Services when you have been connected and it is your turn to speak. Again, comments will be limited to 2 minutes per person, but always welcome to submit additional comments in writing to be included in the record. I am now going to turn this over to BPS staff to queue up those calling in to speak, and they will inform you when it is your turn to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Broadcast. If we could please take a 2-minute break to allow for connectivity. Thank you.
Absolutely. We will take a brief 2-minute break to allow those to join us for public comment who wish to give public comment at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have one caller on the line. Permission to proceed?
Yes, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 528. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller with the last three digits, 528. You can press *6 to unmute yourself. You may begin. Madam Chair, I believe that concludes public.
Can you hear me?
Apologies. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It was my fault. Liz McMiniman, MacMenamin. And I just real quickly want to thank this legislative commission, the governor, and the Board of Pharmacy upon the passage of the regulation regarding the pharmaceutical technicians' ability to administer vaccinations in our state. Your vote gives the citizens of the Nevada of our state the ability to obtain timely and in a convenient manner the upcoming vaccinations for COVID-19, and also helps to give these same citizens the ability to obtain their flu shots in a convenient and timely manner. So I'd just like to thank each and every one of you for your vote. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the line is open and working. There are no more callers at this time.
Well, thank you so much for helping us get through the public comment with ease and being able to connect folks so that we could hear from them. We really appreciate all of your hard work. That will conclude item number 5 on our agenda. Again, thank you everyone for being here this afternoon to attend the Legislative Commission meeting. At this point in time, seeing no further business before the commission at this point in time, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.